Batted it, fed it, set it, popped it, pushed it, jabbed it, dragged it, shuffled it, banged it, banked it, bashed it, chipped it, flipped it, plopped it, gave it, got it, forced it, flicked it, tapped it, tipped it, pitched it, played it, pushed, pointed it, scaled it, sent it, spun it, dropped it, nudged it, threw it back, carries it, banking it, blasting it, bringing it, dragging it, dropping it, flipping it, getting it, flicking it, banking it, blasting it, bringing it, dragging it, dropping it, flipping it, getting it, flicking it, firing it, flicking it, deleting it, playing it, rushing it, throwing it, handed it, signal it, firing it, flicking it, deleting it, playing it, rushing it, throwing it, handed it, signal it, eat it, blast it, block it, keep it, play it, shuffleboard it, flip it, play it, get it, give it, poke it, punch it, back checking it, bring it, swing it, wedge it, work it, drag it, clear it.
Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche Podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Congratulations to the amazing Doc Emrick on reaching retirement. I am your host, Rudolph, joined as always by AJ Haefele. A little bit of a tribute to the voice I've always wanted to hear when watching a hockey game, at least in my adult life. He's never going to live up to Gary Thorne growing up as a kid, but he's a pretty good second place.
Yeah, it's interesting that you and I are so big on Gary Thorne and Bill Clement.
Yep.
And then, like, Doc is, like, the voice of our adult hockey lives.
Well, someone else is going to have to fill the void now there, but
I have no faith in the NHL to be able to find somebody that I'm a big fan of.
Me either. So, not that the Avs ever got Doc anyway, but
yeah. Can we get Chris Cuthbert to do all the games now because he's the only one left?
Man, there's got to be a new wave eventually. We'll see. Low key, one of the people I really like is Goalie down in Florida, but
oh yeah.
But I think that's more of a personal one than one that's going to get the national play.
Yeah.
Anyway, on to the main topics of today's show. The Avs getting a little bit more work done. We'll get to Jost. I did want to start with Hunter Miska and the goalie conversation. As the Avs ended up giving Miska a 2-year deal, which I thought was pretty interesting because it continues to push them in the direction of not going out and getting a veteran third goalie.
It also collides with Eustace.
That as well. If they want to bring Eustace over after this year, they would have to realistically be looking at one of Adam Werner or Hunter Miska either in the NHL or not in the org or in the ECHL or something weird.
It would be weird for them to, like, first of all, this is great for Miska. This is a guy that Arizona was like,
yeah,
we're good. And the Avs brought in on an AHL deal last year, and he just worked and was successful, was good for the Eagles, and got himself a 2-year deal out of it. And that's great for him.
Yeah.
But this for the organization, right now they're in the same position they were last year, except Miska is less of a question mark, and Werner, I guess, also less of a question mark, given that he had a pretty solid pro debut with the Eagles. But when you're talking about, hey, you're going to need your third goaltender at some point, are you really comfortable with Adam Werner? Sakic said he was asked about it in the one presser we got to do with them about the offseason. He said, sure. He said, we're really excited about Werner, and we expect him to take on a big role with the Eagles. To me, that sounds like we want to give him every chance to be our third guy. And then if they need to during the season, go out and adjust because Werner he's not played well, or he struggled, or hasn't taken the steps forward that they want, then they'll do what they did last year. But Miska's contract is odd because he's 25. That's a 2-year deal. If Annunen does come over next year, You got three guys.
It's crowded. Yeah.
You don't want Annunen going and playing in Utah because as much as it's like not a big problem for goaltenders to play in the ECHL, lots of goalies have played in the ECHL and gone on to make the NHL. But the problem is that Colorado's ECHL team is Utah.
And it's the international ice.
They are playing on international ice. So Annunen coming over to North America, one of the adjustments that he has to make, arguably the biggest that he'll have to make, is the different dimensions of the rink. If they were to put him in the ECHL in Utah, he's not adjusting to anything.
I mean, one, I agree. Two, you have a kid who you left in a pro league in Europe, and he's getting pro play. So you have to think that if he were to come over from that league and play in the ECHL, what was the point? Why leave him in a pro league over there in the first place? And
the other side of that is that 26-year-old Hunter Miska is going to play in the ECHL for you.
Yeah, it doesn't seem...
Or Adam Werner is going to play in the ECHL for you. He went from being the guy that you're giving a first crack at your third goaltender job to now being fifth on your depth chart.
Not
it's
a
just
lot
sort
of
of
there, but yeah,
it's just kind of it's somebody is going to be on the wrong end of that.
Yep.
You know, and then I guess there's also the world where Colorado protects Grubauer and Seattle takes Francouz, and then Werner jumps to the NHL, and then it's Annunen and Miska.
It's a lot harder to predict the expansion draft taking your goalie, unless they somehow know already, which there's no way that they do.
Yeah.
So it's just the goalie position is just so hard because it's such a limited spot. You can only carry so many guys.
Yeah. I mean, you only need so many in the organization on the pro side of things. So it's,
I mean, yeah, they have Miska under contract, but they could have signed him to a 1-year deal is the thing if they wanted Colin instead of the 2. Because Francouz will meet all the requirements as far as exposing a goaltender is required, but when it comes to the expansion draft. So I don't know.
It's not a big deal.
It's right. You're picking at the AHL team here, so it's kind of whatever, but
yeah, it's really, and for me, I would rather they be full of guys who are 24, 25 years old, and not go the Michael Hutchinson route,
Same.
with the failed starter route.
Yeah.
I'm happy to go with this route. But
same. But as far as NHL options and building an AHL development system.
Yeah. And like this is kind of how you want to see the team getting accustomed to and planning for internal improvements, internal promotions.
Yeah, right. And if this is what it takes to start planning on an Adam Werner, that's great. You just don't want it to impede Annunen at the same time because, let's be honest, Annunen is the higher ceiling guy there.
Right. Like Annunen is he is burning a year of his ELC to play in Finland because they wanted him. They wanted to make sure that they got him under contract that badly, that he did not just sign another deal with Karpat and just stay in Finland. You know, they wanted to make sure
they had
that he was their guy. They love him. They love his development. Why wouldn't you?
And the dude went out and set the shutout record in the Liga, shutout time record in the Liga after signing. So
like had a great year. Like is a top 10 goalie prospect around the league for a reason. Like,
yeah.
There's a lot of hype around him for good reason. He's a great goaltending prospect. So they need to, they need to keep it in mind that when he shows up, like they want to give him ice time. It's not like when Adam Werner came across and it was like, well, we really have no idea how this is going to go. you have high expectations for Justus Annunen, and part of that is giving him opportunity.
Yep.
So it'll be, next year's problem, obviously, but this just kind of sets up for them to do whatever they want.
We'll have this conversation again, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we can take our first period break there. Of course, acknowledge Breckenridge Brewery, the beer of us here at DNVR, with 8 different types on tap down at the DNVR bar. Or if you want to try any of their dozens of flavors, you can always go to the farmhouse down in Littleton and get it directly from the source. Plus, get $5 off when you use code DNVR when you order curbside pickup from these guys. You can call 303-803-1380 from noon to 8 p.m. every single day to get that pickup and even pick up some lunch while you're at it. Or, of course, if you're not local, you can use the Breck Beer Locator online to find a beer at a liquor store near you. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche Podcast, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 rated sportsbook app out there. Rudo and AJ talking about Tyson Jost. Obviously, signed his deal over the weekend, his deal being literally his qualifying offer for 1 year in a situation where he didn't have any leverage. He hasn't been in the league long enough to have arbitration rights. So the Avs basically said, here's your QO, take it or leave it. He took it, and it helps the Avs cap situation a ton.
Yeah, if he was going to get a multi-year deal or sign any kind of contract whatsoever, he was going to get $2 million.
Yep.
And this just helps Colorado out. He was totally fine getting $2 million before they got Taves. When they got Taves and they have to sign him to a deal of some kind, Tyson Jost can't be making $2 million next year. So financially it helped them a lot. But for Jost, honestly, this oddly makes him a touch more valuable when we're talking about the expansion draft next year.
More cost controlled, sure.
Yeah, because I would say JT Compher's a better NHL player than Tyson Jost is today. I feel like that's not a big leap.
Yeah, I think that's pretty definitive.
But is he triple the player?
No.
But he's triple the cost.
Right.
And that's where if you were holding the expansion draft today, under these contracts, you'd probably protect Jost over Compher.
If you're the Avs, I think you definitely do.
Yeah.
We've talked about it before. Realistically, Seattle taking cap from the Avalanche helps the Avs. So,
yeah,
protecting the cheap guy and making sure they're looking at, I think, the cheapest player they could take is, if you protect Jost, is Francouz at $2 million. Unless they just go off the board and take some AHL guy. But
right, like of the realistic options where it's like, hey, Colorado's going to be one of the deeper teams that's going to have to give up a bona fide NHL player from one of the positions, forward, defense, or goaltender. We're going to be able to get an actual NHL player. There will be plenty of teams where they can get fodder. Or they can, they take somebody because they have to. That's why Detroit exists for this thing. Detroit plays Colorado's role from the Vegas expansion draft.
Yep.
The Avs are going to have to just lose somebody, and right now it makes more sense for them to lose, for Colorado to expose a Donskoy, a Compher, guys like that, where they lose that money and they can replace the guy internally.
So here is the conversation, I think, about this 7th protected spot, since we're getting into this now with Jost. You expose Donskoy and Compher. Comfortable with that? Those are guys you feel like are a touch overpaid for probably a little bit too long.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a conversation about protecting Val Nichushkin, though?
Yeah, definitely. They could protect him, and I wouldn't think twice about it. It would be like, okay, that's fine. Again, this is assuming that Nichushkin has the kind of year
has another solid year. Yeah, if he puts up 10 points, then it is.
Yeah, if he bottoms out like he did in Dallas because he got comfortable again and wasn't working every day, well, then okay.
Easy exposed. Yeah.
Yeah. easy expose, and I mean,
You probably think about buying it out. Yeah.
Yeah. So you'd at least have the conversation, but 2.5 for 1 year, you
just eat it too. Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't hurt to,
unless you really need that extra $1 million.
Yeah, definitely. The seventh guy, I think today, knowing what we know today, where we are today, I think it would be you flip a coin between Nichushkin and Jost.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And again, I lean towards Jost now because there isn't the salary dump there for the Avs.
Yeah. Now, if this was a 2-year deal, then it would be Jost in a heartbeat, I think, like without even thinking about it. But we don't know what Jost's salary next season could be. The guy could go out and finally prove himself to be a quality bottom six guy, and he gets the exact same deal as Nichushkin. In which case, you still protect him.
Yeah, there is absolutely another side to this where it's probably not the deal that he wanted, but this is absolutely a prove-it year for Jost. If he goes out and puts up 40, 45 points or something this year, all of a sudden, you're not talking about a $2 million bridge deal.
Yeah.
Do I think that will happen? Well, probably not on the Avs. But
yeah, look, if that happens, something good has taken place.
Yeah.
And you're not going to complain about success.
Exactly.
So that's, and what makes Colorado interesting in the expansion draft is that all three levels, you can argue that there's a guy worth taking. Right now we're saying they would protect Grubauer over Francouz. Francouz is worth taking. Like as a backup, $2 million, he'd be perfectly fine to take him. It would be perfectly fine. They have to get EJ to waive. Like we've talked about this.
End of story.
This is when they acquired Devon Taves, it's no longer a conversation. Before it was like, hey, you ask him to waive, maybe he does, and then you can protect Ryan Graves, and you're fine with that. But
now you're almost certainly not protecting Ryan Graves.
Yeah. You're asking Eric Johnson to waive the no movement clause, and you protect Gerard, Makar, and Taves, and then
who's third on that list? Let's say there's a world where they don't decide to buy him out and EJ won't waive. Who's exposed? Is it Taves? Is it Gerard? Obviously, it's not Makar.
It's definitely Taves. Yeah.
I figured as much, but just a little bit curious how important that Gerard contract is.
I mean, with Gerard, it's not just the contract. He's still also 23.
Youth factor, yeah, for sure.
Taves is 1 year from UFA. And whatever deal he ends up signing with the Avs, even if it's just a 2-year deal, he goes through arbitration, he gets the 2-year award. Then he goes to Seattle and he's in the last year of his deal there.
Yep.
And then he's looking to cash in on a free agent market after that.
Yeah, for sure.
So I mean, it would definitely be Taves, but you would really hate to trade 2 second-rounders for a guy that you can prevent
1 year
losing.
out of. Yeah.
They're in control of this situation.
It's too easy to just give that dude a 4-year deal at whatever $4 million you want to call it. Yeah.
And then turn around and EJ either waives or you buy him out.
Yep. It's just the reality of their defense.
No, if you're not paying Seattle not to take Eric Johnson. No. If Eric Johnson waives and they take Eric Johnson,
that's $6 million that you have now to take care of paying Makar and everybody else.
Well, that's $6 million that you immediately apply to Brandon Saad's next contract.
Sure, wherever you want to spend that money.
Don't pay Seattle to take anybody.
Don't pay Seattle.
If you're gonna pay Seattle like anywhere between a 5th and a 7th round pick, I'll even anywhere between a 4th and a 7th round pick, fine.
Sure, anything outside the top 100.
Yeah, fine, whatever. I don't care about that. Seattle will like take it, but that's not what they're after. They're after maximizing leverage and being like, oh, if you want us to take somebody in particular, you're gonna have to make it worth our while. We're not gonna take a 6th round pick so that we take Confer.
That's where you just don't engage. They take their guy, everybody loses someone, you're done with it.
You just move on. Again, where Colorado's in a position that other teams aren't is that anybody they lose, they'll be able to replace internally.
Yep. They
lose Francouz, they promote Werner. They lose a defenseman, they promote Timmins full-time. They lose a forward, Alex Newhook signs a ZLC, and he drops into your forward core. And now you don't have to worry about finding a place for him.
Forward's easy, right? They have Newhook, they have Bowers, they have, depending on how this next season works out, maybe Kaut moving into a full-time role.
Yeah.
Very, very easy to replace.
And then Logan O'Connor's still sitting there as a guy that has proven he should get some sort of a look. Like Colorado's probably wishing they had the expansion draft right now.
Just to free up some of these dudes.
Yeah, just to free up a little bit of this money and open up a roster space that they're like, hey, let's just get to using it.
Yep. So it's
as of right now, it's just super duper good depth. Like, you get 3 injuries, and those are the guys that you can call up. Although there's also TJ Tynan and Sheldon Dries hanging around where you're like,
man, I hope not.
Please resist the temptation.
Right.
Plus all the new guys they signed, the Mika Salamakis of the world. And whichever Sherwood brother they signed. I think it was Kiefer.
It would be very disappointing if those guys are ahead of Kaut. Which
it would be a huge slap in the face.
There's still a very real possibility that Kaut makes the roster. But
yeah, that's where money comes in.
Yeah.
Because the Avs with the Jost deal, the Avs are now down to $5.9 million.
Exactly.
And they currently only have 12 forwards, 5 defensemen, 2 goaltenders. So they still need to get Taves under contract. And then they have the scratches
down inside 2 million, call it. Then you're looking at the scratches as well.
Yeah, let's just if it's 4 million, they have 1.9 million left to spend. You bring up 2 ELCs,
which is a little bit less than 1.9.
Yeah. And with the Avs having the Eagles right up the road, when they're at home, they'll be perfectly fine with the extra guy. If they go on the road, maybe that's what they use Jacob McDonald for, where he can play both forward and defense. And then they carry 1 extra guy, whichever guy they want.
My only question there is the Avs had talked about wanting to keep space open for absorbing Cale Makar's bonuses. And that does not really accomplish that.
Yeah, so there's a bonus rule where you can exceed the cap at the end of the year and fold in bonus money.
Yep.
It's like 7.5% of the cap.
Yep.
That too, because Makar is the only one eligible, that 2.5 million can go into that. So they can exceed that. They could go into and exceed the cap.
I guess
at the end of the season, if he accomplishes all of that, blah 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 blah.
Well, Byron would be eligible too. Not that he's going to hit all of his bonuses, but
yeah, I mean, he wouldn't. Byram would not. I'm not worried about that.
I'm just trying to think. Like, if they both hit full bonuses, it's what, 5 million? So that's still inside the 7.5%.
Yeah, and I'm good. Like,
well,
there's no threat of Byram doing that.
I don't disagree. I think he could hit some of his bonuses, but
even getting the performance A ones or the schedule A ones would be difficult because you have to be like top 4 on your team in defensemen in this. And it's like on a bad team, it's absolutely something that could happen, but on a good team, the third year of Byram's contract, absolutely this is a conversation. But this year, if Byram is a full-time Av, I'm not worried about his performance.
The way I saw Avs get hurt last year is all I'm saying. Byram might be on the top
It's-
pairing by March.
It would take like
Yeah, for
a
sure.
lot of production because it's not just like ice time. It's
Sure.
you've got to be top 4 at your position
Scoring and assists,
in goals and points and assists
they have
and
for the bonuses. Yeah,
ice time and like all these different things. There's a lot to it that you have to accomplish in order to get that money.
for sure. And I guess that's kind of where the Avs are at.
I didn't know that the Avs paid Byram an extra $10.5K last year for him to play in junior.
Didn't know that either.
I don't know that I've ever seen that.
That is a weird one. Here's $10,000 to go back to Vancouver.
Yeah. So they gave him $92K on the signing bonus and then an extra $10K if he didn't make the team right away. It was a good deal for him.
Yeah. Not bad. All right. So Kovalenko, Cygnus.
Yeah.
Which that's a whole nother beast of a conversation and getting to everyone that could potentially jump over. But
Yeah, 2 years from now.
Yeah. The Avs are the expectation is they're done for the offseason.
Yeah.
They're not able to bring in anyone else without moving someone out.
Yep.
So barring another significant move, this is what your Avs roster is more or less going to look like next year. There's still going to be some positional battles. You have guys like Byram, Timmins, maybe Gilbert battling it out for a 6th or 7th D spot or whatever. But
I think Gilbert probably planned for him to be an Eagle.
Yep, same.
But it would be hard to believe that they're just going to go so inexperienced on the back end if they wanted really either Byram or Timmins back there. I have a hard time because I think Byram's going to get every chance in the world to like stick.
Yep.
I have a hard time believing Timmins is also hanging around.
I expect Timmins to start the season with the Eagles.
Yeah.
But
somebody will get hurt.
Right. They'll have their 7th D will be whoever their 7th D is, but when an injury inevitably happens, they need to take a long, hard look at giving that time to Timmins.
Yeah, definitely. They can't worry so much about the inexperience and all that. They've put themselves in this spot.
Yep.
Like, you can't be calling up Kyle Burrows over Connor Timmins.
Yep, exactly.
You've got last year, there were tons of guys. You had a Kevin Connaughton, a Mark Barberio, Anton Lindholm. There were guys. This year, there's just not the experience. There's the talent and the upside that you believe in, but it's not experienced.
Well, and as Jeremy brings up, they were willing to play Timmins in the playoffs.
Over both Connaughton and Barberio.
Yep. So there's got to be at least some faith retained there in playing that kid in the regular season at the very least.
Yep.
So
it would be weird to play him in a postseason game and they'd be like, we won't play him in the regular season.
Right. So those decisions, of course, are going to be made on a specific basis as things develop. But expectations wise, you'd like to see Timmins high in the call-up list. On the forward side, things get a little bit tighter. We've talked a lot about Logan Connor being a prototype 13th forward.
LOC.
Yep. Seems like that still makes a lot of sense. You're going to want someone like Martin Kaut playing hockey, but how do they fit a Martin Kaut into the lineup now becomes the question.
Yeah. Where's the extra forward? Is the extra forward LOC at 725 or is it Kaut at whatever his very specific contract number is?
Whatever 16th overall picks get.
Yeah, he got 863,333.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
So,
bye. Yeah, like, no offense, dude, but we've got to have stuff to talk about today.
Yep.
Like, I don't have any thoughts about Justin Schultz going to Washington. Good luck. Yeah. Anyway, they're in kind of a tough spot there at forward, man. Where, like, how committed are they to playing Belmar every night? And if they pull out a Belmar, you know, who takes that job?
Shane Kell can't play center because that makes it super easy. But
do you give it to Jost down the middle and just let him roll?
I mean, I would.
So I would. I mean, the biggest thing, the biggest thing, if they're going to get success out of Tyson Jost, is a consistent job.
Yep.
You know, last year, what was it? His most common line mates are a smattering of the bottom six guys, where it was like
every single dude in the bottom six he had over 100 minutes with or something. Like,
yeah, exactly. So Jost is like every other young player on faceoffs. He sucks at it, but
that's the brand. Unless your
name you can't be so obsessed with winning a faceoff that you play a lesser player because he can win a faceoff for you. Like,
and a big part of this conversation with Jost is, at the end of the last season, the Avs started using him on the PK, and his underlying numbers on the PK were really good.
Yeah.
If he can do that consistently, he's going to give you, at minimum, as much and probably more production than Belmar is.
Yeah, well, all 3 years of his career.
Yeah, Belmar had a career year with the Avs last year at 22 points. Jost's seasons are 22 points, 26 points, and 23 points.
Right. So offensively, there's more there than Belmar's ever given.
Yep. So
I'm not like, this is what I'm saying. Like, I understood Belmar's role last year, but I just don't think that they can be so committed to him this season.
Yep.
They should not be.
It's exactly why we questioned his 2-year deal in the first place.
Right. Like, we were very iffy at the time on signing him at all, and giving him a multi-year deal really compounded the problem where you're like, and, you know, Belmar got off to the kind of start where it was like, okay, we can't really criticize this, but in the end, like, it's still a very meh move.
Yep.
It worked out okay, but it was just okay. The upside on that move was it worked out okay.
Yeah, they got as much as they possibly could out of it in year one of that deal.
Yeah, definitely. And we saw during the postseason, didn't do anything.
Yep. Invisible, at least offensively.
And you have to be, I mean, you're not asking the guy to be a dynamo, but you got to chip something in.
Yep.
You know, and Jost, I mean, to his credit, Jost had the same issue offensively in the postseason. Just didn't look good.
Very true.
But really, the
whole bottom six kind of.
Yeah, Nemestikov didn't look good. Nichushkin didn't look good. Comfort didn't look good. Those guys just really, they were really just not very good in the Dallas series, especially.
I think Nemestikov was the most productive of the bunch. Yeah.
Well, and the 2 goals in Game 7 kind of mask
fluky
over some of these other issues. So
Comfort had 8 points in 15 playoff games.
Also counts the round robin games.
Does.
Mind you, which I think he had. I know he had multiple points during the round robin. So
still,
Belmar's okay for what he is. Like, Belmar's not any great shakes.
Right, Belmar's a fourth line player on most teams in the league. The question is he a fourth line player on a cup favorite?
Right. Is he? I mean, is he a guy that you? I don't think that they can be so committed to it because, I mean, they lose Nieto. It's easy to just kind of like slide Jost in there, right?
Right. And well, so here's the other side of this conversation is we're not saying, oh, Belmar's worthless, never play him. We're saying make this dude your 13th forward, rotate in a Martin Kaut. And dudes will get hurt, and then you can play both of them every day while people are
right. It just feels like what is your upside if your fourth line is Calvert, Belmar, Jost? You're like, okay, like that's a fourth line. If your fourth line was Calvert, Jost, Kaut,
You're asking for more upside there.
yeah, you're feeling like, okay, this can still be a good defensive line.
Yep.
This can still be a line that gives you a little bit of offensive pop, but it's got a little more upside.
It's also a line that you're paying two guys less than $900,000 on.
Yeah.
Whereas, so you can play Jost and Kaut, excuse me, for less than Belmar costs you in your lineup. Just makes good business sense at a certain
And then
point.
when Calvert gets hurt, you put Logan O'Connor on that line, and all of those guys are making less than $1 million.
All three of those dudes, you're paying less than Val Nichushkin combined. So,
yeah, I mean,
this is how you get value out of ELCs.
Yeah, exactly.
All the time.
Exactly. And Jost isn't technically on an ELC, but I mean, the qualifying offer coming off of an ELC is rare for a guy like him.
Basically an ELC. Or a fourth year of an ELC is
basically. Yeah, it's honestly, I was looking at it and I'm like, this is actually really rare. Yep. Most of the guys, they take restructured one-way league minimum deals.
Yeah.
The two guys that actually just straight up took qualifying offers are Jost and Nolan Patrick. And like Nolan Patrick obviously has extenuating circumstances involved in that conversation.
So you're telling me the two disappointments of the draft took their qualifying offers?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the situation that the Avs have to, I guess, walk the tightrope on over the next couple of years is exactly this. How do they get the cheap guys in? How do they get that value? And at times, it's going to come at the cost of players that they've paid more money, like a Belmar, like down the line, depending how Nichushkin plays out, possibly that, like losing a Comfer or a Donskoy in expansion. It's as much about managing the money that you're paying players in excess as it is getting the ELCs into the lineup.
Yeah.
Got to take our second period break here and acknowledge Strava Craft Coffee, the CBD infused coffee that has really changed lives. If you like cold brew, you can get that now at the DNVR bar. If you want to try some Strava before you commit to a full-on purchase from StravaCraftCoffee.com, where you can get 20% off when you use code DNVR or sign up for their subscription service. They have 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8-week packages where you can get 20% off every single time. So a great deal there. It's been known to help with many aches and pains, including migraines, IBS, bunch of other stuff as well, anxiety, you name it. It has helped a ton of people. So again, use that DNVR20 code and purchase today. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche Podcast, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook with Rudo and AJ. AJ,
for just quick,
Nemestikov
took 2 penalties in the entire playoff run, so
not too many.
Yeah, remember all those boneheaded penalties he took.
Hot take.
There were 2 of them. I remember one of them specifically, that roughing at the end of the second period that started Dallas on a power play at the start of the third. Like, yeah, that's a stupid penalty. But two penalties in however many playoff games he played, because he was hurt for a few of them. So anyway, I just... he had 4 penalty minutes in 12 games. So it's not like this was a rampant problem.
Not Zadorov, Landeskog, McKinnon, Cole, Kadri, Jost, Connaughton, Graves, Belmar, Girard, Rantanen all had more penalty minutes than Nemestikov.
I just saw the conversation going on, and I thought I was curious, because I definitely remembered the roughing at the end of the second period, where he hit the guy after the horn, and it was like,
That was real stupid. Yeah.
What are you doing, tough guy?
But at the same time, it's not like he was taking a lot of penalties.
Yeah, he had 2. Like, that's it. They were 2 and they won that game anyway. So it wasn't, they survived.
You know what should be a penalty, though? Jerseys with the lettering across it diagonally. I'm so tired of those jerseys.
Yeah, it's not my thing at all either.
It's lazy design. It's not interesting. I say this because the Pittsburgh jersey allegedly leaked earlier today of their special 3rd jersey, 4th jersey throwback, whatever you want to call it, of them having Pittsburgh lettering across diagonally here. Here's the picture that I was looking for. Like so. Not an interesting jersey to me at all.
Yeah, it's ugly.
It's just blah. And there is rumor surrounding this saying it appears every team will have one retro design with reversed/modern colors for next year. Retro for the Avs would indicate Nordiques.
Yeah.
However, how do you feel about reversed/modern colors? Given that we've already seen the color of the gloves from McKinnon.
I'm good with it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't care. I don't care that much. I'll get excited about a Nordiques version. If they tinker with it, it'll feel kind of blasphemous, but it'll also be like, so what? Do I still want to get one? Yes.
Absolutely.
They would have to seriously screw it up, like Stadium Series level of that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
for me to just be like, I'm out totally.
Not on it. It'd have to be this red one for you to be out on it.
Oh, I saw.
Yeah.
Yes. It would have to be that red one for me to say no. Given the gloves, I think we're good.
Yeah. Don't think they're going to put the blue gloves with their red jersey.
Yeah.
But
like the show's called Red versus Blue, not Let's Team Up.
That I don't know.
I think they look cool, man. Like I'm like, yeah, sure. These are neat. I would be okay with these.
Yeah. I'm fine with it.
The red one just truly hit it. I mean, could you imagine them wearing that into Montreal?
Oh my God. The worst.
Ugh.
I do. Obviously, this is just a concept, but that is a lot of blue on the home jersey. I would like a little bit more accenting, I think. But maybe that's just me personally. I don't know.
Jerseys are one of those things that some people care a lot about.
Yeah.
I'm not one. I don't have any feel for fashion at all. I like what I like. People usually also don't like it, and I just kind of deal with it. And I'm like,
that's very true. I've never been a fashion circle guy.
Whatever for me.
This is the extent of my fashion. Is I wear DNVR shirts on every show.
Yeah. I love when we go to the bar and we see people wearing a BSN Avalanche shirt because I'm just like,
you've been around. Yeah.
You and OG.
They better not. They just wear like a red turtleneck sweater, not even a jersey, like an actual sweater, Jay.
Yeah, whatever they want to do. I don't really care what the other teams do for their jerseys. I won't buy them.
Drew, what's the best baseball uniform? Since I see you in the chat there.
I'm going on the DFA show this week.
Oh, nice.
To hang out with Drew and talk about the World Series. Go
Rays.
Dude, obviously.
Even though they beat your Stros?
Oh, of course. Dude, the Astros weren't allowed to win. 2020 just wasn't going to get that evil. It wasn't going to get that low.
Oakland feels like a very baseball answer when you say they have the best jerseys.
Yeah. I just watched Moneyball the other day. Guess what? That movie is still awesome.
Yep. I saw it's on Netflix now, and I was like,
Yep. I was looking for a movie, and it was like, we recommend Moneyball. And I was like, always a good choice. Click.
Yep.
So good.
We
need more good hockey movies.
Yeah, I know.
That's what we really need.
We've been over it, and there's like 3 or 4, and none of them are like serious movies.
Yeah.
Miracle's the only serious hockey movie that's good.
And it's great.
Yeah, it's excellent. But
it's like, can we get some more up in here? No, we're not giving the Cardinals anything, Drew. Take it back.
Yeah. We already have Brendan on that bandwagon. The Florida Panthers. That's a comedy, though, Meeks. We want a serious movie.
Yeah. Dale Talon versus the Computer Boys would have been. Yeah. They're not really rebooting the Mighty Ducks. They're making Mighty Ducks the TV show where the Mighty Ducks are the villains.
And it's like super weird because it's still Emilio Estevez.
Well, and it's kind of like the opposite of Cobra Kai, right? Like,
yeah, sort of.
They made Cobra Kai the TV show,
guys,
and they were all like you find yourself kind of being like
rooting for him.
Yeah. Get him, Miguel. Get him, Johnny. Like F. Daniel LaRusso. If it weren't for Mr. Miyagi, you wouldn't even be likable at all. And now that he's not on the show, it's like you kind of suck, dude. So I'm just hoping that they do it as well as they made Cobra Kai. I watched that whole series twice because I was like, this is downright enjoyable.
All right, we're a little bit off the rails.
It's Monday. We don't have a ton to talk about.
Yeah, we're starting into the off season. Do have some more stuff coming for you this week, though. We're going to do a prospect rank for the Avs.
I'm going to put you on the spot. Who's your top prospect for the Avs?
It's Byram.
Oh, okay. So we're different right off the
we
right
disagree. I mean, it's like 1 Byram, 1.1 Newhook. It's real close, but
oh yeah. See, I don't have it all that close.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm just kidding. I have Newhook, and it's like
by the razor's edge.
Yeah.
So
I have Newhook 1. Who do you have 3? Or I should say, where do you have Barron? Because I tried to do this last night.
I have
a hard time.
I'm pretty sure I have him at 6.
Yeah, I think that might be where he ends up for me too.
I always appreciate proximity to the NHL.
Me too, because if a guy like do I think Barron has higher upside than Timmins? Yes,
totally.
But Timmins has put together a very good AHL season. Timmins had a better AHL season last year than Barron had a season in the Q.
Yep.
And so it's like you can like a guy's upside, but accomplishments at higher levels have to start to matter at some point.
Yeah.
So if we were going purely on upside, I think Barron would probably be 3.
Yeah. I think you could probably have the conversation with Cout at 3, even when you're talking about upside.
You could,
but
I'd probably have him at 4. So
sure, right. Anyway, we'll save the rest of that for the actual the draft rank show. I'm
just excited about it because I was going through the whole system last night and I was like, man, this is as deep as the Avs system will probably ever be in my lifetime.
It's gonna get less deep from here, I think. But
yeah,
make sure don't do it yet. But we're planning on doing another roster roast on Friday, so. If you want to be part of that, just make sure you get your roster posted on Cap Friendly.
We said that after teams had made their moves and done all their stuff, we would be doing another expansion draft as well.
Yep.
So I would say keep an eye out for that.
That's something we set up. Maybe
I know that we had talked about doing that with GMs.
Yeah. If we're doing a full 31, it probably won't be this week, but
yeah, but I think I think something like that is in order. You know, we could also do the franchise thing that we did last year and just kind of compare the results of them.
See what's changed for sure.
Yeah, because I mean, like I took Elias Pettersson at like 16th in the first round.
Yep.
He may not last that long this time around. Cale Makar went early in our second round.
Yeah.
He will definitely not last that long this time around. So I think it would be interesting if we did a starting lineup of guys again, and
Yeah, definitely. All sorts of stuff coming your way as the off season continues on. We'll have a bunch of guests on to talk, whether it be Avs system or teams around the league, just to see where everybody stands. And off season doesn't mean it's time off for us. We're still here. We'll still bring you the pod 5 days a week to get you your hockey fix. So
yep, we've got a lot of different things planned for it as well. If you guys have any fun ideas for Friday shows, let us know. We're always looking to add to the nonsense that we do on Fridays.
And that's what it comes down to. If there's stuff you guys want to see, my DMs are open. I'm sure AJ's DMs are open as well. We love doing the show, but at the end of the day, it's you guys that pay our bills. So if you guys want to see us do something on the show, hit us up and we'll at very least consider it. If not, outright do it.
Yeah, like hockey things, like I'm not going to put my keyboard on my head, guys.
I'll do it.
I mean, there would have to be like donations to charity. And
100%. Like we need to turn on super chats or something for stuff like that. But
also, I would just like to say I appreciate the people who were cool about the title of our show today. We thought it would be funny. Some people on Twitter immediately took the bait.
Our first comment before we were even live was the title is a lie. So so if we don't follow you on Twitter, just to get into this a little bit, if we don't follow you back on Twitter, some of our messages get put into like message requests, which I use TweetDeck and not the actual thing, so sometimes they get buried and I just don't see them for months on end. So if you don't get an answer, I'm pretty good about answering DMs that I get. Send them to us on our personal Twitters, not on the DNVR Avalanche Twitter. It's a lot easier for us to check DMs on our personals.
Yeah.
The DNVR Avalanche one is controlled by like 7 people. So if someone clicks on it and it's not a notification, we're just not going to see it sometimes.
Exactly. We won't see the notification and then somebody thinks we're ignoring them.
Yep.
And that's we try to get to our DMs from people. So if you guys have suggestions, you guys want to see some things, whatever, I get people that just DM me every day and ask about random stuff. So
yeah, I've been getting people DMing me jersey collections since our jersey show.
Oh, that's awesome.
Fun. Yeah. I like, except
we should do like we should show it off and
share your jersey collections with us and we'll have a show off show.
Yeah. Maybe on Friday we'll do roast my roster and fashion show at lunch.
So there you go. That's what you guys need to send us. Now we know. All right. On that note, we're going to get out of here for the day. Thank you, everyone, for watching, listening, however you consume. Of course, if you want to be part of the live show and in the chat, you can join us on YouTube. Live every day around 1 o'clock. We've been a little bit flexible with that in the off season, so it might change up a little bit. But generally, of course, we're presented by WGT Golf, our gaming sponsor, loved by more than 20 million people around the world. You can join in on our clubhouse. Search DNVR3 after you download from DNVRgolf.com to join our clubhouses and participate in the fun. Yeah, that's it. Hope everyone has a good rest of your Monday, and we will talk to you guys tomorrow.